Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti from Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Single TV channel 250. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Single TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. Today, I am really happy to have you here with me, Adrian, a good friend from here, from Mexico. And we are going to be talking a little bit about your life, your story, and everything that is happening around you. So, this is great.
Thank you, Alejandro. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited to talk to your audience and to reach a lot more people in the Spanish, English speaking, and really talk about my story. So awesome! Thanks for having me.
No, this is great. So, let's start with what are you doing now? I know that you have this amazing startup called Airbag. Tell us a little bit more about what are you doing with that.
Awesome. Okay, I'll tell you a quick like elevator pitch. We started Airbag a couple of years ago when we realized that traffic accidents was the seventh cause of death in the world. It takes the life of over 1.6 million people every year, and this blew our mind. Right? You can see that the world is spending trillions of dollars in the fight against cancer or against a lot of health issues, but really traffic accidents is taking the life of a lot of people, right? So we started looking into the problem and we saw that a huge part of this problem, over 90% of the accidents were caused by the driver, the human factor behind the wheel. And we realized that in the market and in the fleet market, the transportation market, every solution was focused on the vehicle instead of on the person. So you get the GPS, you got satellite GPS, you got OBDs, telematics, a lot of big, huge solutions that get you a lot of data, but focusing on the vehicle instead of focusing on the driver, where the driver is 90% of the accidents, right? So we started developing this startup called Airbag, which I'm the founder and CEO right now. And the purpose of Airbag is to create better drivers with technology. For this, we develop a mobile app that analyzes the driver's behavior. We analyze how they're speeding, they're braking, their accelerations, their turns, how many time they're in the cell phone texting and driving, incoming calls, emergency calls. So different kind of driving behavior habits. We analyze it, we score it from 0 to 100 just to give instant feedback to the user and the driver. And if he's a good driver, we give them rewards. We give them Airbag coins, and these coins can be exchangeable for different kind of products or services on our marketplace in the mobile app. This way, keeping the drivers really motivated and incentivized with this gamification strategy to keep them engaged and, of course, developing better drivers. And for the companies that we're a B2B business model, for the transportation companies that we realize that we're the ones taking the biggest hit in the cost like problem with this traffic, with accidents and bad driving habits, we developed what we call the first DMS, that is the driver's management system, instead of the transport management system, focusing on human resource and being the first human resource software for transportation, just to give them an overlook of where the drivers are heading, how they're driving, the risk, if they're driving too many hours, if they have to sleep, to eat, their deliveries, every single KPI, but on the driver instead of the vehicle performance, just to get better feedback, create better drivers, retention on the drivers. That is a huge deal in the transportation industry right now. And of course, that will give you a lot of cost reduction and a lot of benefits in safety for the company and for the whole world, right? That is the impact that we're looking for. I think you're on mute. Yep.
I have been in some accelerator companies, and it's like I will say, okay, 3 minutes exactly. You spoke your pitch, so
Thank you.
that's great. That's awesome. So let's go back to your life, and then we will continue learning about this of what you are doing with Airbag because I believe it's amazing and really looking for ways to improve in that area is really really good. But I know that at the same time, you there was a moment that you didn't believe in yourself, and maybe you didn't dream that you were going to create something like this. So tell us a little bit of who you were before, and we can start to feel like, okay, how you started to work in your belief system, and that helped you to become the CEO and started to dream very big with this airbag, because I believe this is a very amazing and big dream.
Thank you, thank you. No, and yeah, of course, like, I think that as an entrepreneur, and I've been learning this my whole life, you get this very famous imposter syndrome where you don't believe in yourself, or you try to think that you might not be as good as you sound, or your company is not as good as you sound. So we're all been through that. On my side, and going back to my story, I like my whole life I've been an entrepreneur. I just built businesses since I was like 12 years old. My first business was a pizza cone business where I cooked in my kitchen, and I started selling these pizza cones in my school. That was like my first hard stop with what the real world problems were on the business side, because actually my school didn't let me sell the product in the school. Instead of pushing me forward and, hey, this guy is an entrepreneur, let's push him and try to maybe sell at retail at the school cafeteria, it was the whole the world other way around. Like they just stopped me and they told me that it was illegal for a student to sell things in the school. So you start getting these ideas that it might not be yourself, but the world is pretty hard itself, and you're gonna be with a lot of hard stops from clients, from suppliers, from of course investors or VCs, and you're gonna get a lot of no's in the way. So I think I started getting to know that path in my life soon enough, because all of the business that I have developed, some were good, some I sold some stuff, some didn't even deploy. And I started to get this like feeling about, okay, if there's a no in the way, is not the end, and you can go forward and learn a lot of stuff, even if the great stuff and the biggest dream didn't happen. But of course, and as you said, I started businesses, but I didn't, or what I call it, like I started a little business in Mexico. We call it like a negocio, but not a company. So it's a huge difference between building a business where you can sell pizza cones in your school, or building a company, handling people, creating teams, and getting a really good product to scale and to go to a unicorn status. That is the dream, of course. So that was like big part of of my background. While I was studying, that I studied international business, I always liked to explore, right? I'm a really open-minded person, so I went to live to Shanghai, China for 8 months. I was living there. I got passionate about technology, of just knowing people, like technology in China compared to Mexico. I believe they're probably 50 years ahead of us. It's unbelievable the amount of technology that society has. Like everything is on their cell phone. It's just mind blowing. So I got like really passionate about all the technology in Asia. I came back to Mexico, then I started working, and I went for a summer to work at the Bitcoin Center in Korea. And I got more excited about technology, this deep tech that really changes the world. Like when I was working at the Bitcoin Center, I realized that a technology that can start with an idea is really changing the way maybe governments are playing the financial business, right? You can see the cases in Salvador or in Argentina, that you have a lot of inflation, and a lot of people is going to Bitcoin because it was a little bit more stable at the time, of course. So you can see that technology is going to really shape up the way not only the world but the society is going to come out. So that got me really passionate again. I started the business. I started Airbag, and when I started, as you said, it, everything is like I always say it like if it's a joke, but being an entrepreneur in Mexico is going on the expert level of any video game, right? Just going to the hardest of the hardest level. You need to get all the experience points you have, because it's really hard to be an entrepreneur in Mexico. Maybe in the US or in other countries like in Canada or Europe, it's really easy to open a company, just hire people, start selling a business. But in Mexico, even the government is putting a lot of hard things to stop you, right? So when I started the business, I was like 24 years old, and I started getting all these no's and all these hard stops. When, as you said, you stop believing yourself, and you're like, man, I like this. I know that it might be big, but it's harder than it looks. And when it's harder than it looks, you get like really turned down. You don't know if you can do it, and it's just struggle with yourself to really gather all the strength you need to push forward. So that's a lot of things that happen not only to me, but with a lot of friends that have startups or businesses in Mexico. When you go in this expert level that is Mexico and Latin America, and you believe that everyone is against you, but you need to like gather all this strength and just push forward.
And I'm thinking about that. Let's start to think where do you believe you started to have this like consistency and this thick skin to really start to like I have to do it. Doesn't matter if everybody's telling me no, it's not possible. Maybe there, if you share some stories about like being like having the failures that you needed to have to be ready to have what you have right now.
Great, great. Yeah, I think that, and what is my advice for a lot of entrepreneurs is don't be, and building your business cannot be only in your safe place, right? You cannot just tell your business to your mother, to your parent, well, to your grandparents, your friends, your partner. You can not only get that feedback from them, because you're not going to learn anything. There are two ways that can go. Either they love it and they're going to push forward because not because they love the business, but probably because they love you, that it doesn't work that much. And the other one is that they're not going to like the business because they might be envy, or they might be too honest, but it's not going to be the great feedback because it's people really close to you. So something that happened to me, and I remember this perfectly, with a friend of mine that was in school with me. He told me, like, man, you should stop believing in like $1 million apps, and get to work. Like, just find a job at a big corporation, go 9 to 5, and just work. And this really like hit me, because this was a friend of mine that I've been growing with him since I was like 8 years old, one of my best friends. And I'm telling him that I'm dreaming about creating this $1 billion company. And his advice is, stop believing in $1 million apps and just go to work, right? So when you go to your close circle, you can either wait to get your mom's approval, that is going to be because they love you, or probably going to get the other way around. So what I started doing when I started the business was getting a lot of feedback from outside my comfort zone. So I started to go to every single pitch battle that there was on the country or outside the country. I was in every incubator, accelerator. I just went to pitch to every event in a bar on a Saturday, whatever I had to do to really like showcase my venture. So there was when I started to get real feedback from people that doesn't even know me, that don't really owe me anything. They are not my friends or my enemies. And that was good feedback just to get better and better. So when I started like really pitching this idea to every kind of person I could have like really get to in these forums or in these pitch battles, I started to get a lot of no's. And I started to get, and you were, I think, part of one of them. And you start to get a lot of real hard comments on your business that really start to get your thick skin to what's going to be next. But at the end, you take this, you work it. And like right now, I go to a pitch battle and I feel super comfortable talking about the business. And of course, I'm going to get a lot of no's or people that doesn't get your business, but you're comfortable getting these one or two really wows or good yeses about your business. And that's like, and for me, and that's an advice that I tell a lot of my friends, for me, it doesn't matter if you get 100 no's or people that doesn't get your business. If you believe in it, with one yes, it's enough to keep you going. Like one guy that really is proud of you, that you don't know him, but is really pushing you forward. This guy is enough, or this person is enough just to keep you motivated. Like when someone cheers you up, that's it. When one you is motivated and you can go forward. So that's a lot of the hard things you gotta take, and take it
And
from outside.
that's something that I love to teach also a lot, like collect no's and you are going to find the yes. So but
Exactly.
collecting no's is something good. But if I go, because I know that belief system and all the things that we start to believe is not something that happens in 1 minute or in one day. And you have been talking a lot about this. But do you remember something before you started this business, this airbag, and doing all these pitches? Maybe in your when you were a teenager or even a kid, where you started to do that part of okay, collecting no's and being okay with that and not having, because that's, I know that there is a lot of people that is like concerned, like okay, people is rejecting me, so I am not going to sell anything because 100 people told me no. That means that I am worthless, or I maybe I have to do another thing or start to be in the 9 to 5 job,
Of course.
because there is nothing that I can do because there is 100 people saying no and only one yes. And you are telling me in the other way, like just with one is enough. The other people is like focusing on the 100. So let's
Exactly.
start to think like what happened in you, how you started to develop that belief that one yes is enough.
Great. Yeah, I think that that question, yeah, really like take you back, right? I think that I have talked to you before, but I think that my parents did a great job building this kind of self-esteem, right? Right now, and I believe that it's the most important thing you can do as a parent, even though I'm not one and I can't speak from experience, but I've seen some like schools in
But you
Mexico
are a
that
kid, so you can say.
I was a kid, exactly. I was a kid, and I had parents. So and what I see right now, like a friend of mine is building a school where the main focus is to build self esteem.
Yeah.
Because if you had good self esteem, you're probably going to be away from drugs. You're going to be really good with no's because you believe in yourself. So you're going to go get that one yes, and you're going to build this self esteem up, right? I believe my parents did that really good with me because even though of course every family has its problems, I always got the push I needed to do whatever I want. So if I wanted to play soccer, there was a push, and I went to school and play soccer and do whatever you like, and they just pushed me forwards. If I wanted to play football then or hockey or whatever, they just pushed me forward to do whatever I wanted. Even in school, if I wanted to study international business instead of law or instead of medicine, they just got me forward because it's something that I wanted. So that built me up with really good self-esteem, right? And one of the experience that I remember when I was a kid, I remember that, and I've always been like a really social guy or a salesperson. And I remember that in my school when I was like 8 years old or 9 years old, they got us these chocolates that you need to sell to go into donations, right? It was like it's a really common thing to do in Mexico. So I remember they giving me a lot of chocolates just to sell, and normal kids would sell to their friends and families because of course they're gonna give you the yes that you need, and they're gonna buy the chocolate for you because you need the money and your parents are gonna buy it, even though if they're not gonna eat it, right? And I remember that in my house they told me like, man, we're gonna buy one or two, but you gotta sell the other ones. So go to the street and try to sell them. And but at the time I live at a compound of a lot of houses. So that was like my first experience in sales, in one-on-one sales, where I knocked on every single door of these hundreds of houses, just trying to sell them chocolates. And of course, you got a really good thing that you're a kid and you're adorable and you're trying to sell, and a lot of people is going to sell you yes. At the time, a lot of people is going to be really cool with you. But in the other hand, a lot of people is going to tell you no. And if you're a kid of 8, 9 years old and you get like, man, I don't have the money right now, but come tomorrow, you gotta know that after one house there's another house that has the same door, that has someone inside that could be a potential client for your chocolates. So if that guy saying no again, you got another house by right beside. So that was something like really helped me through it, because I remember just thinking like, man, oh okay, this guy didn't want it, and I just walked 4 steps to the left and knocked on the other door. So this was like something that really helped me out, and I actually started liking a lot to be in sales. Though a lot of people is going to tell you no, but I liked a lot the interaction, the process of the sales. So I think that was really good, and this is part of like having your family challenge you a little bit in okay, even though I can help you getting you the money or the chocolates, you gotta go experience the this failure by yourself and go to the street. And it's the only way to really experience it is going out. And in the business and in the startup is exactly the same. Everyone tells you that if you're if you're really proud of the product that you released, it was too late. You gotta be like you gotta release the product as early as you can, because that's the only way you're gonna get the rejection. And with the rejection it comes a lot of knowledge and a lot of feedback. So you gotta go to the street and go dip your toes in the water as soon as you can.
That's really cool. And just out of curiosity, you were doing that alone, or you were with one of your parents, or how you were like selling in all the doors?
No, it was by myself, and I remember like after selling this like compound of houses, when I was on the school bus, I tried to sell to the to the bus driver, to my fellow students, to the cafeteria lady. I tried to sell them. Like I started liking just trying to sell, and I remember that it was because a couple of people said yes, and that got me like a boost of adrenaline. Like yeah, I did it and I pull it off. So when I started getting 10 no's, I my even my body started needing that yes. So if there were no more houses, I could go to school. But if there were a lot of no's, I started like, for like, to be honest, like my body really wanted to have this push of adrenaline and this push of ego, it might be, just to get a yes and to get a sales done. So I think, and that's only the only way to do it is to knock on 100 doors. 99 are gonna say no. One is gonna get you that yes. With that yes, you're gonna feel amazing, and you're gonna look for the next yes.
That's really cool. And did you were doing some type of like, okay, this is the script that I want to say, how I'm going to tell them about the chocolate and why they need to buy, or it was just like, okay, I have this chocolate at this price. How was that process? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, no, no. I remember that it was nothing about a script, nothing planned. I just like went to with it was a huge box, and I just knocked on the door and I told them like, man, I have these chocolates from my school, and one huge part of the sale was that all the money was gonna be donated. So that was like the huge part. Like, hey, if you buy a chocolate, if the chocolate is, I don't know, $2, $2 are gonna be for kids on unfavorable environments. So, but that was like the school tells you to say that, and that was the only thing I did. And of course, if a lot of people told me like what flavors are the chocolates, of course I answered or whatever, but it wasn't a script or anything, just going and knocking on every one of them.
And this is really cool because it's exactly like you started at the age of 8, started to develop this believe in yourself, like, okay, this is part of who you are, and suddenly one 100 knows is okay, and there is nothing. But finding that yes is something like, wow, it's going to push you forward to create new things. What other things have you found? For example, as you were saying a few when you started talking about creating teams and creating other type of things, when you are doing a company, what do you think that help you to develop that leadership, to be like, okay, I have to develop teams, I have to, I know that that can be maybe even a creating a football game or something like that, but what helped you to start to develop those skills to be ready to create teams as you are doing now?
I believe it's something that you kind of have. If you have some experience in it, it might not be business, but if you have the experience, like if you just go back to your school, even high school or whatever, every time in the school you're going to have a school project that is going to be by teams, right? And you're going to have to choose your team, and someone has to lead the team. Or if you're playing soccer, they're going to tell you, man, you're the captain and choose your team. It's eventually life is going to put you in those spots. So right now, and looking back to it, when I started like on school projects and on college projects, I liked a lot like to build a team and just to know this guy is good for this, I'm good to present, this girl is super good with research, and I just like to do things easy and get them done fast. So, and there's a thing that they say, and I saw recently, that is, who would you hire first? The most efficient and intelligent person of them all, or maybe the lazy one? And that you believe is so lazy, but if you hire the lazy one, he's gonna find a way to make it as fast as he can, just to make it once and work as little as he can, right? So that was kind of my deal with it when I started like doing school projects. I just wanted to do as as low or as minimum work that it needed to be done and have a good grade. So you got to build a team to help you do this, right? To just lead the team. The hard work is probably going to be taken by others, and you're going to get a good result by all the team. So I started liking like that idea, and I started doing all these teams in soccer, in football, in my school, in college, and everything. And I started liking it a lot as well. And even though a lot of people is going to tell you you got to go into leadership boot camps, or you're going to have a leadership school, or I don't know, whatever, I think that a lot of these things happen when you try to develop something on the field, right? Try to go and be an entrepreneur, or build something, or have a business, or try to just build a inside the company, maybe build a project to present to the CEO. But if you try to do it and it's your idea, it's going to be really easy to really like get all these people together, even though you don't have masters in leadership, you know.
Mm. And when you connect with the idea of dreaming big, where do you think that started? Because, for example, I remember very clearly when you told me, Alejandro, if you want to create a startup, the first thing that you have to think is that investors are looking for the mindset of the people that wants to create a $1 billion business. And I was like, okay, that is very huge. That's completely another step. So how you think you started to develop that mindset of $1 billion business?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that when it happened was really when I started doing the company, right? There was a really good inflection point. It was like a year ago, probably like a year and a half ago, when I talked to my co-founders and we said like, okay, we gotta set the metrics that we need to achieve in order to go look for investors and tell the investors that we're gonna sell this amount of money, right? We were setting all the milestones we needed to achieve, and talking to the four of us, we were talking about how to build a sustainable business. So just sell to 100 users, then go to 500 users, then maybe go to 1,000 users. And we were talking about, I remember the exact number, that was getting 3,000 users in a year. And this was like the exact number, right? And we were talking about, yeah, 3,000 users seems okay. Like if you onboard this amount of users every month, you get to 3,000. And we started doing the math, and 3,000 users was a pretty non-aggressive or non-ambitious milestone, because it was like, man, if you're just gonna grow 3,000 users in a year, then you're building a business, and you're probably not gonna build $1 billion company, right? And with this milestone, I talked to some friends, and I even talked to a venture capital at the time. When the venture capital saw my numbers and saw my presentation, he well, I think he was too polite to laugh, but he was near to laugh, really, really near to laugh, because he saw our forecast, and he's all like, "Man, you're gonna sell $30,000 in a year. When how are you gonna do it? Because that's too little." So, and he did a quick math for me when he told me like, "Man, imagine myself. I invest this amount of money in this amount of companies. This amount of companies fail. If I'm looking at you and you're that one company that is going to succeed, I need you to be $1 billion company to get my money back for all the portfolio companies that failed, because 9 out of 10 startups die." So when he started telling me about this math, I was like, okay, then this is real, and I need to go for the really high moonshot, and look how can I go to be a $1 billion company. And a friend of mine told me, if you're going to raise money from venture capital, then do it the other way around. If you're a $1 billion company, how many users you need to have? Okay, 100,000. Okay, in how many years? Normally, in average on the market, unicorn companies can be from 5 to 7 years. Okay, so in 6 years, you need to get to 100,000 users. Break it down to your today, and then you're gonna see that in a year you're not gonna be selling 3,000. You need 20,000 in a year, and you're okay. This is a big number. This is a challenge, but if you're not able to take this challenge, then you're not gonna get to these 100,000 unique users and $1 billion company. So there are two ways to build a company right after that inflection point. Either you go and build a business that could be really good and really sustainable, and you're going to live by that business and probably make a lot of money and help a lot of people. But in our company, in Airbag, the purpose of saving lives is so much bigger than us, that being a $1 billion company really matters. Because if we get to 3,000 users, you're going to be impacting 3,000 lives, or saving lives out of 3,000 users instead of 100,000. So that when we decided to take the path of it's going to be the biggest challenge of them all. We're probably not going to work. Well, we're going to work every single night. We're not going to sleep. We need a big team. We're going to need a lot more money, a lot more investment, a lot more talent. We're going to need a lot of more resources to build this. But the purpose of the company is, we either build this and create a huge impact that is going to save millions of lives, or we stay as a sustainable company. Either way is, I respect both ideas. There are people that want to build a restaurant that is really sustainable and they're going to live with the restaurant, and there's people that want to create McDonald's and have a really big restaurant companies, right? So that's the path that we decided to take when we realized that the challenge was that big. So even though the challenge was overwhelming for us, we decided to take that path, and is the path that we're on right now.
And tell me, when you have, okay, you decide, I am going to take this path. That's the only way that you can take that is when you have a team, because trying to do it by yourself, it's impossible. So how has been that process of, I decide I'm going to do this now, or would you decide with your co-founders, and between the four of you, you start to work on this, and this is the idea, and we have to create these plans and everything. So you have to start to hire people. How was the process to put the same energy, the same dream in all those people that you were hiring, to be like, okay, we are in a company that is dreaming big. And I have to be dreaming big if I want to succeed in this company. How was that process, or how has been that process now?
I think that process is the most important part of being a founder. Like, if you don't dream it big, and the other thing is, you might dream it, but if you don't share it or communicate it the right way, you're not going to build yourself around people that believe the same way as you do. So what we started to do is that, normally with my co-founders that we're four, normally when I realized these kind of things with a venture capital, I told them, like, man, I realized this. There's two way to do it. Either we take the hardest way to do it, or the easy way to do it. And good thing that I was really successful, I believe, in getting these co-founders that we have right now, is that they're gonna take always the hard way and the, like, more moonshot way to do it, because we believe in the impact that the company can make. So I translate that passion and that importance of the impact Airbag is in the society, that now if I tell them tomorrow, like, hey, we gotta double the numbers of the milestone of next year, they're going to tell me, man, you're crazy, but let's get to work. Let's try to do it, because there's no way back. Either we do it, or we go the easy way, right? So they're not going to even going to question, because they know that the goal of the company, and we're all on the same boat, turning that goal, right? So that was the first part, getting your co-founders on the same boat with the same vision and with the same passion, where as an entrepreneur, you don't earn a lot of money, you don't have a big salary, you're not going to get a huge apartment, and you're going to be really on the low key side of business for a couple of years. So passion is your main drive, because money is not going to be in the play. Your probably money is not going to come in. It's got to be passion for the first years, and that passion has to be translated to your team outside the founding company. And what we do all the time is that when we hire, we make them really really clear that this is a huge risk to take. So like in the first interview, we tell them, okay, this is Airbag. I know if they did research or not, but we tell them what is the company about, and we tell them, and it's a startup in the growing phase. So it's not a really consolidated startup. It's not Kavak that has 8 years and $400 million in the bank. It's not like that. We're looking to be that billion-dollar company, but we're not like that now. So, and being really clear and really honest with your team since the first interview has made the difference, because they know that if they take the job, it could be a really high risk that the company disappears in 6 months. It might disappear. They don't even know, and I don't even know it either. But the company might disappear in 6 months, or the company might double or triple or quadruple in the next 6 months, because you're a startup and things can change one day or the other. So the people that really are willing, when you tell them this honestly and the focus and why are you doing it and why this amount of risk can get you to value things, and this amount of risk is worth it. What if they do get in the company, if they accept the offer, you could say it, then they're good for the team. Then they already know that there's a risk. They already know the vision of the company. They already know the mission of the company, and they're on board in the same boat as we spoke. So one of the main things to do it is just be like extremely honest with every guy that you're gonna hire, because if you're not, and they go into the company just maybe believing that you are the next Beats or Kavak, and you're a really stable company, and you have a really bad news in a couple of months, they're going to be really disappointed, and they're probably not going to work the hell of their time, or not going to work over hours, because you didn't even tell them why. And when you tell them about the risk, the double shifts, the extra hours that they're going to probably have to make to get this accomplishment of the company and save millions of lives, if you tell them that and they're willing to go into the company, when you ask for their help, they're going to help you, because they're on the same boat and believing in the same goal. So if you tell them like, man, we have a super weird client that is going to get us two days without sleeping, just working, they're going to take it, because they know, and you already gave them a heads up that that could happen. So being really honest with your team and translating that risk and passion to just get them on board.
And how much time did it take to you, like, okay, to absorb, like, okay, I am telling you right now, this idea of you need to have a $1 billion business if you want to really have investors that want to put their money in your company, to really, like, first realize, okay, this is completely different from what I was thinking at the beginning. I wanted to create a company, but now it's not a company, it's like an enterprise. This is something really big. uh, how was that process to, like, I have to assimilate this, and suddenly I can start to share this passion to these people? And then how, when you started to share the same passion even to the investors and all the people that you were pitching? Because at the beginning your pitching was like, okay, I want some money for an idea.
A really small business, yeah, an idea, exactly. I think, and Alex, I really think that, to be honest, it took one day. It's just like getting this ice water bucket on your face when you suddenly realize, like, they tell you the path that it needs to be done to be a unicorn or to be a billion-dollar company, and it's either that path or there's no other way to do it. So you don't have a lot of time to decide if there might be another way to do it, if they might be another way to grow or to get investment. There's just one way to do it, and that's growing very fast with a really talented people around you and getting a really good product or services to the market. So when there's just one way to do it, and when they tell you that this is the only way to do it, that was when I started like, okay, this is the only way to do it. If we want to do it, that's it. The path is already set. So the only decision that was on my mind at the time was, should I keep going and build this billion-dollar company, or should I close the company and go build a business, or just go and work from 9 to 5? Like, that's the only way to do it. And in my mind, there was never a chance of building just a business and just building a small, probably family company. On my mind, it was as big as it can get. I didn't know that to be that big, you need to do this much things, right? But when they tell you that that's the way to do it, in my mind there was like no, not even a doubt. Like it took like a minute, that when I called my co-founders and I told them like, man, they told me that we need to do this, we need to achieve a lot of better numbers, better results in a lot, like in less time. Are we up to the challenge or no? And in 5 minutes everyone told me like, man, yeah, yeah, of course. What would do we need to do? Like, just let's team up and do a strategy to accomplish it. So it was a couple of minutes to take the decision. When you get the path and you realize that there's no other way, is either even doing that and work your ass off for the next years, or go have a 9 to 5 job. If that's the only way, it's a really easy decision. It was
And
an easy
this is
decision.
really important because something that is really important is when you have clarity of what you want, because that's, I believe, is where you start to have a lot of time like thinking and overthinking if I do it or not. Depends on, if you have clarity, this is what I want, this is how I want to do it, and I have the time and the money and the passion and the energy to do it or not.
Mhm.
But if you are having double guessing because of anything and thinking and overthinking, maybe it's not exactly what you are looking for, and you have to be finding something else. So uh, I like what you are saying. I agree, but sometimes you don't have that clarity, and that means that you are going to have double guessings, and you have to find like, really, this is what I want or not.
Yeah,
So
and I think that if you have these doubts, as you said, if you're double like, and your mind is all not set up, you have to rethink what is your going to be your purpose. Because and what everyone tells you in entrepreneurship classes, accelerators, etc., is that in the mind of an entrepreneur is it's a tunnel vision, right? So you just focus on one thing and one thing only, and nothing else matter than your vision of building your company. So if you stop getting, well, of course you need like mental stability, financial stability, family, friends, and you need to go balance everything, right? To be a good person as well. But through that, the only thing work wise that has to be on your mind is to build this company, like to fulfill this mission. If you're thinking about this mission, but you're double thinking because the salary might not be that big, then you're not good for it. If you're thinking that you just want it for the money, then might not good for it, because you might get a lot more money in a different job. So money can't be the driver to do it, right?
at
It
least
has
at
to
the
be full
beginning, right?
passion at the beginning and probably at the end. You might be a really good entrepreneur. Of course, if you're at Elon Musk or whatever, of course, those are the richest people on earth. But if you're a really good entrepreneur, not only at the beginning, but 5 or 15 years from now, they're probably going to be CEOs of the biggest companies that they're not their companies, but they earn a lot of money month over month. So if you're looking for stability, that might not be the way. So there are a lot of like different factors that if you're passionate about your company, they won't even matter. Like if you throw them in a balance, it wouldn't even make any sense, because you're always going to be looking for and with passion for the company. So I think that's like the easiest way to feel it, when you don't really care about anything else, by just building the company and fulfilling this mission. then you're on the good path to do it.
Awesome. So I know that we are in the last part of the program today. Uh, what other thing you want to say, like, okay, if people is listening right now and saying like, okay, I have a passion for a business but I don't have an idea clear that how I can creating something, why an startup is a good thing, why this is going to evolve to really create a better world, because at the end that is exactly what you need to do if you are thinking of on a startup, the level that you are thinking. So what is the recommendations or the comments that you want to say, like, okay, if you are thinking about this, these are the things that you have to be thinking in order to be successful.
I think that my biggest advice right now is just try to get all the mental health you can, because self-esteem and going and be like mental stable and being good with yourself, it's gonna help you whichever path you want to take. You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be an employee, you want to be whatever you want to be. If you're like work with your mental health or and go to wherever you need or meditate or whatever, that's going to help you to every path. So mental health is highly important. So that's part A of my advice, because we all need it. And at least in Mexico and Latin America, a lot of people like it's just a taboo for a lot of people, and it's really important to get it. And the other one is, when you get this, don't believe or don't be influenced by your social circle. So not everyone, and being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. Being an employee is not for everyone. So look for whatever is good for you, because if I tell all my friends that being an entrepreneur is the best thing you can believe in, it's probably not for all of them, because not a lot of them want to be working 18 hours a day, or don't want to have a lot of friends, or don't or can't go party, or can't go on a trip, or don't earn money for a couple of years, and really be really high risk with your financial state, like stability. So for a lot of people, that's not good. A lot of people need stability, need a job, and it's really like it's good. Whatever thing is good for you is good for everyone. So look for whatever suits you, and then I believe is really good. And that would be another advice, like just to close it out overall. Then look for a passion to just build through this path that you might see. If the passion is to build a business and to impact people and to have a company and to do entrepreneurship path, go for it, take it all, go take the risk, throw all your money in, really go to the streets, start selling, go take 100 no's and everything that we talked today. And in the path is just being an employee, try to look for a passion in the other side, right? If you're an employee, or if you're on a family business or whatever, look for that little passion that is going to make a change, a positive change in the world, and try to develop that passion through the other side. And it's equally good and it's equally like respectable, but you need to do whatever is good for you. And for me, then look for your passion and try to make a change, and follow it. Just follow the passion, which whatever path is the best for you.
Awesome. So I love it. How they can contact you or know more about you if they need to. Uh,
Please contact me on social media. My LinkedIn is Adrian Trucios, as the name on the screen. I'm also like on Instagram, pretty active. Is Trucios at my last name, A as Adrian. Twitter is the Trucios95. So please, just in social media, LinkedIn is probably my most active social media, and I'm just looking forward to help, to give any insights to anyone, have mentorships. I'm really open to helping anyone. So yeah, feel free to shoot me an email or a message, whatever.
okay, thank you, Adrian. This was a really amazing call. Thank you for the time and all your wisdom that you shared with us today. It was great.
No, thank you for the invitation, and I'm happy to do this every time. Thank you a lot, Alex.
Thank you, everyone that was listening to us today. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Goodbye, all.
Come on, bye bye.